My ultimate goal with photography is to make images which I'm proud of and that I love to look at. On the last portion of my Capitol Reef trip, I took some decent photos, but none of them really captured the scale and aspects of Capitol Reef that make it so impressive and unique. I've realized that this is because I was looking for subjects that looked like they were from somewhere else, while walking past many of the beautiful and grand scenes that were right in front of me and would have given me the feeling of being there. Next time, I want to photograph the wider scenes of the long weaving pastel canyons of white and purple rock. I think this is the vision I had when I was there, but somehow I missed it. When I return, I'm going to focus on exploring the open spaces of Spring Canyon, Capitol Gorge, and all their nuances. But that is a trip for next year. Soon I'll be going to Zion with all the knowledge I gained from this experience, and hopefully be making photographs which I'll cherish for a lifetime. Now begins the part of my trip where I shot the most reflected light. I've skipped the 2 cloudy, cold days I had, as I used them mostly for scouting, and they lacked much, if any, photography. I hope you enjoy my thoughts and what I learned from these photos. Waiting for the light right now. Right now there's some high clouds and it's set around 9. It's supposed to get mostly sunny. So I'm hoping that I'm actually going to get some reflected light on this and it's not just going to be high clouds. This is a scene I shot the other day and I came back to it and I found a different angle on it. And it's pretty much exactly what I want for a shot. It's mixing this. I wasn't planning on shooting this type of varnish, but it's kind of mixing this with the other shot down there. There's one shot I was going to come back to and get in reflected light, but I guess that's going to be for tomorrow. So now I'm getting some reflected light because the sun is peeking behind the clouds. And it's kind of like a little bit of like these patchy clouds, so the sun will pop through a little bit and then it'll kind of go damp a little bit. And then it'll come out really bright again. And this is looking pretty good. The reflected light on this scene is not super strong, but I have a feeling it's still going to come across pretty well on the film. When you get a good photo, you kind of get a little bit of a high, like I'm just gonna go back to the hotel and enjoy myself and enjoy a nice meal. And then after that dies down, you wait a little bit, you kind of get this excitement again because you know you've gotten a good photo and now you're just going back out into the park to find something new. And there's tons of new possibilities. Especially with this new lighting I have, I can actually go see where reflected lighting is going to be. And for scouting, that's like super important, knowing where the reflected light is going to be. So it's really great that I can do this. I'm going down to Capitol Gorge right now. I'm going to check out a few subjects and see what's going on with the lighting. So I've just set up this scene right here, looking up at this really nice pine tree. And what I wanted to do with this scene was like kind of do a geometrical framing of these textures of the sandstone, and they look really nice because they have reflected light on them. But I really wanted to make it kind of a square feeling kind of photo, and I think I was successful. I just took a shot, but I actually spent like 30 minutes trying to get this composition, and I finally got it. I exposed 3 sheets of LV on it. It was kind of a pain to photograph, but it's done, and that's the 3rd subject for today. We've still got a bunch of reflected light, and we're not even close to the evening, so I'm thinking that I can maybe photograph one more subject. So I used my 210 lens for this, and I used f32, but even at f5.6 with this lens, looking at that distance, everything was pretty much in focus, so it's all going to be crystal clear. I actually didn't even use a loupe to focus it because the back of this is really bright. Also, I'm wondering if anybody knows about this. I don't know if you can see it. It's like a blotch. It looks like a water stain on the inside of my ground glass. And I don't know how it got there, but it's expanding a little bit. It's not really affecting that much, but it's a little weird. I used 0.5 seconds for Velvia 50. Also, check out my on-the-fly photo getup. I got the cape, light meter, film holders all around my neck. I set it up outside of my Jeep, and then I walk it over here. That's for roadside photos, at least. So I'm photographing this scene with this beautiful cottonwood that kind of leads down into this canyon where there's this really nice varnish. And I was right about to take the photo, and right as I'm about to take the photo, the light just vanishes because the sun went behind a cloud. So now I'm just waiting. Oh boy, that's kind of a big cloud, but it's moving quickly, so kind of sucks. Right when you're about to take the photo and snap the thing, it vanishes. Then you gotta wait. Alright, so I got the light. I exposed a couple sheets of film. No. Don't face track my camera. Oh, you can see right there. So I found this cool trick on Ben Horn's Instagram story today about the wide angle distortion to make your biceps seem bigger. I thought, okay, I gotta film some stuff. I'll give that a try. It's probably not working out as well as it works on Ben Horn, and Alan Brock, I guess, is the original creator of this this method. But yeah, so that trip wasn't quite up to the standards of videography at all that I want to have with my future videos. And I'm really going to be stepping up my videography for Zion. I just got a lighter video camera that's way better than the D810, and I also got a tiny little tripod for it. So I'm going to be trying to make those videos really cinematic and kind of more like those videos I did when I first started doing large format. But the reason why that videography wasn't so good is because I was just so focused on photography. I felt like there's a lot of pressure to come away with some good images, and that's what I wanted to do. But in a second, I'm going to show you these images, and I'm going to tell you what I could have done better and what I learned and how I'm going to approach photography in Zion. So we'll start with this first one. It has a really nice kind of graphic appeal to it, and this is the one that you obviously saw in the video. And I like it. It could use a little more of that foreground on the tree. I found that a lot of these photos on this trip could have used a little more foreground. And something about the composition seems a little flat, but it does have a nice appeal to it, and I kind of do like it out of all the photos. The next one I didn't film video for, but I basically spotted this tree that was up on top of this little mini hillside up on this canyon, and I kind of hiked up to it. and I was on this giant boulder, and there's a crevice in the middle of it, and I had half my gear on one side, half my gear on the other, and my tripod was on the front end of this boulder with the crevice in it, and I was photographing this tree. And I thought this was going to turn out a lot better, but the images on Ektar and Velvia came out with this really big red cast over the images, which was a little bit disappointing, and it would have been better with a more directional glow, but no matter what I did, it just always looked better when I went with the original kind of saturated version of the image. The other problem is that there's not a lot of contrast between the tree and the background, so it creates this little bit of muddiness that I don't really like, but yeah, it's one of those photos where I can't really tell if it's a good shot or not. And I guess that'll bring me to the next photo, which is the last one, which is of that tree. Now this one with the 210 was not a great idea, and I think in general the subject and composition just had too much going on. The 210 compressed the tree with the background, which was messy, and it did have a nice glow, but it wasn't really the type of sandstone that I was after. And I think that I liked the idea of it more than I liked how it actually looked. So that's going to bring me to tip number one. Not tip, it's a thing I learned. You have to make the image right in the camera. I was kind of just finding cool subjects, throwing up a composition and saying, okay, this is large format, it's going to look so cool. But that's not really how you do it. And I realized that the images I didn't like them because they didn't have depth. And depth is a big thing. And you can really get a lot of depth with large format if you take the photo right. And that scene just didn't have a lot of depth. It was just very muddy. And I ended up not liking this photo, even though it kind of has those elements that should make a good photo. So that's one of the things I learned is, no, I have to make the result I want to see in the camera. I have to know this is going to be a great photo when I get it. So it's good, but it doesn't have that wow factor that I'm really going for, where I just want to look at it and throw it up on my wall and print it out. So I'm hoping to do that in Zion. The second thing is the part about putting space at the bottom. And I also have thought about how, since I'm just starting out and still relearning my composition stuff, I think I'm going to start shooting with wider lenses first. Like I got a 120, I got a 90, and a 150, and they're all super sharp. The 90 and the 120 I haven't used yet, I just got them. And I'm going to use those a lot in Zion, and I'll probably use the 75 in the narrows. But I'm going to start shooting wider, because wide lenses on large format give you a lot of control over the composition. They can really make the composition look good, but you just have to really control your focus. So that's one of the things I'm going to do in Zion when I go there, and I think that that's going to help me a lot. And I'm really just focused on creating images that have more depth and that are more dynamic and have more of that foreground element, where I have a foreground, a middle ground, a background. Some of these images I created on this trip weren't so great because there wasn't enough separation or depth to them. It was just kind of flat. I didn't have a foreground to a middle ground to a background. And you don't always need that, but it just kind of reminded me, this is how you make a dynamic photo. You gotta be consciously, intentionally thinking about the depth of the scene. So yeah, for those photos, I got a few that I really like, and they're up on my website right now. You can go check it out. I'll put it like somewhere up here or something. But yeah, for the video in Zion, I got my new video camera. I'm going to try really hard to make some cinematic stuff. And I'm going to try really hard to come back with an image that's just one of those images where you look at it and you know right away, this is a beautiful image. I'm going to print this really big and throw it on my wall. And I think that's going to happen in the narrows and probably on the east side, because the east side has such good color contrast. Speaking of color contrast, that's another thing I learned. The photos that turned out better have better color contrast. They pop out more, and that gives it more depth too, and it simplifies the image. So, without any like little numbered thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those are kind of the things that I gained from this, and this was kind of just a kick in the rear as to, oh yeah, here's a reminder, you have to try and you have to really work the image to make it dynamic and have that depth to the image. I'm really going to try to achieve that in Zion. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and enjoy. Have a great rest of your day.